live here in Highland Park for part of our 24 hours in Highland Park, doing 24 live shots in 24 hours from different homes, different spots in the area. Right now we are on West Grand at the Spears home. We're in the backyard right now. And why I wanted to feature this family is in part because we were talking about a resurgence of people moving into Highland Park. A lot of people moved out. Back in the day, there was 50,000 people. Now there's 9,000. But we've got newcomers. You just met Raheem. That was last hour. He came in from Brooklyn. Here's the Spears family. We've got Michael and Jessi. You've got 3 kids. You're from Waterford. We're going to be, hold on 1 second. We're doing a little TV segment. That's okay. It's all right. I get it. I've got kids. Let's start with Waterford. You were there. You decided to move to Highland Park. Tell me a little bit about, your reasons why and what's it been like. You've been here for about a year.
We have. So we came out on what we call a photography adventure. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's just a dog. It's all good.
She's a loud dog. She's just silly. So we came out on a photography adventure because I love broken down houses.
Okay.
But then I found more. And these houses are gorgeous, y'all. They are so gorgeous. And the artwork, the graffiti and everything like that. We have the pictures of it from over the years and just fell in love. I don't know how you couldn't fall in love with Highland Park, but yeah. Just the artwork everywhere, the people. It started from let's go take pictures and then we're going to buy a house.
So who had the idea? Was it you, Jessi, or you, Michael? I think it's Jessi. I think it's okay. So when she says to you, let's move from Waterford and let's come on out to Highland Park, what are you thinking?
I enjoyed the idea of Highland Park and everything. The house scared me for the simple fact it's right next to the highway. Davidson Highway is right there, so that concerned me with the animals, the kids. It's just a street over, so anything could happen, So that was a big concern for me. But as living here, they're very responsible. They're very, knowledgeable of the whereabouts and everything else. The animals are actually pretty decent, so it grew on me for sure.
And you were talking a lot about the people, and I think I've noticed that we spent, about 13, 14 hours today, but we've been here many a time kind of shooting some preliminary stories. There's this energy, there's a pride, and there's this neighborhood-ish that I was a little more surprised because I thought it would be more city, but I was over talking to one family and they're like, oh, my neighbors are nosy. They know what we're doing. And I love that because there is this, I'm watching out for your kids, you're watching out for my kids. Talk to me a little bit about that in terms of your neighborhood.
So our neighbors, within a week of moving in, our neighbor called us fam. So You knew we were welcome. But funny enough, one of her dogs likes to lay on our roof. She loves to lay on the roof. And he'll call us, he'll be like, she's on the roof again. They look out so much. And she's not running the street, but she'd be sitting on the roof and they'll see her and they'll call and be like, hey, you gotta come get her in because, she's crazy. But
let's talk a few issues. We've got your kids in the background. I know you guys do some homeschooling. I know we've been talking a little bit about this area in terms of schools. I know you rely a little bit on, or I don't want to say rely, but you have the benefits of using Mama Shoe and Avalon Village. We caught up with you at the homework house earlier today. What do you want to see change for, whether or not it's for your family or it's for the city in terms of education here?
Collectively, I'd like to see more communal, I want to say classes, if you will. For me, growing up, we didn't have classes on buying houses, taxes, the real life situations, the economics of life. 1 + 1 is 2 and all that stuff is fine, but if you don't apply it to buying a house, buying a car, the things that you do in real life, you're never going to get anywhere. We bought this house, we didn't know what we were doing. We went through the process in 20 minutes of signing everything, did not understand the whole process at all. So we have a house, we're working on it, we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, but we're lost.
Right.
And so I feel that the education system up to this point has failed us in that regards because it didn't prepare us for life like it said it was supposed to.
Right. And so right now we want to work on our kids. I know you do some homeschooling. Are you going to homeschool throughout their education, do you think, Jessi?
That's actually their choice. So each kid has had the choice to go to brick and mortar or they could be homeschooled. Our oldest went to brick and mortar for pre-K out at GSRP in Holly, I think it's called. Yeah. And he decided he didn't want to go to school anymore. That way he wanted to do homeschool, so subsequently the other two followed. But if they do change their mind, they can go back to brick and mortar at any time. Okay. But I personally would rather homeschool because they get more science, they get more math. Before we moved out here, I had my garden. Now we're rebuilding it. We're going to use the second property we had to build a garden, just like Avalon Village, but on this side of Davison. And so, like, my kids learned propagation at 2 and 3 years old, where sometimes we don't even learn that in high school.
Right.
And so, like, they know how to grow their own food. They know how to compost. They know how to cook, all three of them. Even my sister.
When I came by last time, remember they were making custard. I remember they were doing it.
Yeah,
Remember?
My
Yeah, he's like, you want some custard? I was so impressed. I got a question.
It was really good, too.
It did look good. I didn't need any, but it looked good. Let's talk lights, because that's an issue in this community. And I don't know if a lot of people know, in Highland Park way back in the day, because, you know, the city couldn't pay the bills, the lights were taken away. And there are lights on the main parts, like, you know, on the edges of Woodward or the edges of John R. Right, on the edges. But in the center of residential streets, there are no lights. Talk to me about your concerns about that, or is it a concern?
It's deeply a concern. We have cars go back and forth at higher speeds often. So, I mean, anybody going down the street, whether it's a child or not, you know, you're not necessarily going to see them, especially at a high speed that you shouldn't be going in the first place. But, you know, a light would help see that just in the same.
We were talking with the mayor, and she said, which is basic, you know, you've got so many dollars. You can only pay for so much. You know, hopefully we can change that with the tax base and get more people in. What other things besides, obviously, talk lights in schools? What thing would you like to perhaps, like, what's your great thing you love about Highland Park, and what's your one thing that, hey, let's add this or let's work on this?
So obviously, I love the art. The history of Highland Park is so deep, and it means a lot to me. But also, like, our property next door, it still says, according to Highland Park, there's a house on there. But there hasn't been a house in, well, at least a year. The taxes for that property are still for a house, not for a vacant lot. So I would really like it for the people who process that stuff to do it in a more timely manner. Okay. Like, our water almost got shut off because it wasn't in our name. It was in the previous owner's name until November, from April till November. So, like, that's too long, especially when we're buying a house, trying to do things. We can't do anything because the city's just not processing the stuff that they're supposed to.
All right, so at the end here, let me make sure you get that information, because I want to help you with that lot. Because, ma'am, look at you. Yes, ma'am, I love it. I guess we're going to wrap up. What else do you think anything you want to end on in terms of, I love seeing your kids out here and just being kids playing. I mean, overall, you made the move here to Highland Park. Are you happy?
Thoroughly. Like I said, the community is amazing. We were in Waterford for 6 years, didn't receive this kind of welcome or appreciation and love. Yeah. Walk down the street and you wave and you feel welcome. Didn't really feel that over in Oakland County as much, unfortunately. So.
Well, we've been feeling the love for sure today, and thank you guys for letting us come in, because we were like, hey, can we come and hang out in your backyard? It was pretty cool. So thank you, Jessi. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up for this part of our coverage in our 9 o'clock hour. We're going to head on over back to Avalon Village. There are some things going on there. We also are going to be later on, we're going to be meeting with the police chief, and we're going to talk a little bit about crime. What's being done, what's working, what's not working, and what do residents need to know so they can help facilitate a better, safer community. So our 24 hours in Highland Park continues here on Local 4 Plus. We're doing a lot of sidebar stories too that are posted on clickondetroit.com, as well as the Michigan Chronicle. You can check those out. And a big shout out to Avalon Villages. They are looking for people who might want to volunteer their time and help over there. So stay tuned. Our live streaming cameras continue to stream all along Avalon Village. Stay with us. We are live until 6 a.m. and there are many more stories to tell. We'll be back.